Hello everyone, and welcome back to my Let's Play series, Can I Beat Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time before the remake releases? I am S.A.N, and today, when we last left off, we had just completed the Forest Temple and made it back to the Temple of Time here, where she informed us that if we put the sword back in that pedestal, we can go back in time 7 years to revisit the past. We'll probably end up doing that a bit at some point. So yeah, as you can see, I have 2 of the 6 medallions we need. And we're going to be going on to move on to the next one. I'm fairly certain that we're going to end up handling probably a dungeon chapter at this point, because they're going to start getting longer and more complicated now. Plus, I'm going to do some side stuff. So, we'll probably end up doing that to start with. I think the best course of action for us is to actually head in the direction of the next temple, because there's some side stuff we can do now. I mean, there's a bunch of things I could do, but I think for the structure of the video, it's going to work best if I head towards the next temple first, at the very least. Alright, so once again, we're going to go through Hyrule Castle town here, what's left of it. We won't have to do this too much more because we are going to start getting more and more of the songs that help us teleport around Hyrule, which opens up much more of the game, meaning we won't have to worry too much about this. I'm just going to play Saria's song here because I honestly, when I normally play this game in the past, I rarely use Saria's song because I know where to go. I know everywhere we need to go at this point for the critical stuff. But I'm just curious what she has to say because she's now the Forest Sage. And sometimes she'll give you hints on where to go next. Apparently not, okay. Well, oh, no, I hit the wrong button. No, I'm good. Okay. So, we need to head towards Death Mountain, because I'm pretty sure you saw the Ring of Fire around it when we were there, and, yeah. That's our next stop. We're also going to stop in Kakariko Village briefly. There's honestly not much more we can do in Kakariko Village at the moment. So, yeah, we're just going to head on to Death Mountain. We will probably come back here at some point, especially if I manage to collect some more gold Skulltulas, because we're only a couple away from getting the next reward. As I've said before, I really do not think we're going to end up... Yeah, there you go. Navi's finally giving us the hint of where to go next. I already know where we need to go. Probably not going to get too many more golden Skulltulas, because I'm not going to go out of my way to collect them. You can easily manage to get through this entire game with 200 rupees, especially when you can go back in time and just endlessly replenish them. And yeah, that's also a little trick on ladders you can do in this game. If you drop down and then you press up on the control stick, Link will grab on before he hits the bottom. It's a nice way of skipping most of the ladder and actually letting you, without actually taking falling damage. So we need to head to Goron City now, and just avoid the Tektites. They're not worth the effort. Also avoid the giant rolling boulders. So, yeah, I already got that heart piece. That's the other thing. Heart pieces are going to be the other thing. I'm not sure how many more I'm going to get. I'm probably going to pick up a few more in this chapter today, because there's a couple here in Death Mountain. And there's a couple more we can pick up as we go along. But as we progress through this game, my knowledge of heart piece locations is going to get less and less. I can always just look it up online in between making videos, of course. Which I might do depending on how hard this game gets. It doesn't get too difficult from here on out, I don't think. So here's a secret you can do. Alright, where is it? Yeah, Song of Storms. I'm pretty sure this is the song. You play the Song of Storms here in these little ring of rocks, and they will open up basically a hole in the ground. There you go. And watch here as I waste opening this chest and not collect 200 rupees. Yeah, that's there for a very specific reason. To get the Giant's Knife, which if you remember the bigger Goron that we met last time, even though he's big, he's not the big Goron, says he was going to have working on something and it might be ready in about 6 or 7 years. Well, now it's 7 years later. You can go buy the Giant's Knife if you want. For 200 rupees. It's not worth it. The Giant's Knife breaks really easily. Rude! Alright, well, one of the first things you'll notice, apart from the fact that there is this one Goron rolling around here, is that there are no other Gorons in Goron City at the moment. So, we have to stop this rolling Goron to find out why that is. And the way we do that, for some reason, is to throw bombs at him. Don't ask me why. We now need... So yeah, we need to throw bombs at him and catch him in the blast of the actual bombs. You can use bonfires too if you're running low on bombs. I probably will have to do it at some point. And the timing has to be precise here. So that's the only way we can stop him, unfortunately, which means I'm probably going to run through a lot of bombs because this is not something I'm the best at. And as you can see, seconds count here. So... Alright, and there we go. Oh! No. But yeah, we'll also probably take damage from this. Alright, I'm just gonna switch using bonfires so I don't waste all my bombs because I do need some of those. Yeah. That's the other thing he does. Sometimes, as opposed to reversing direction, he will literally just keep going if you go past him. He's going to try and avoid you at all costs. And honestly, I think this probably should have just been like, wait till he gets tired or something. As opposed to throwing explosives at him, but, well, I wasn't involved with Nintendo back in the 90s, so I guess this is what they thought would be funny. Personally, I find this rather tedious. There we go, finally. Apparently things were one of Gandalf's servants. I mean, we did attack him. I am Russell, hero of the Gorons. Well, this is interesting. What? Your name is also Russell? Yes. Then you must be the legendary Dodongo Buster and hero. My dad is Darunia. Do you remember him? Yes. So he named his son after me. How do Gorons reproduce? Are there female Gorons? I don't think we've ever seen any. Ever. This is like dwarves all over again. Okay, wants an autograph. What's going on here? Okay, yeah. Alright, the fire temple is going to go. Oh, a dragon. Joy. If we don't hurry, even my dad will be eaten by the dragon. Yeah, alright, I see which direction this is heading in. Go to the temple, rescue all of the captives, slay the dragon. We should probably ask about the dragon. A long time ago, there was an evil dragon named Volvagia, yes. For those of you who saw my Let's Play for Echoes of Wisdom, I mentioned the fact that Volvagia was a boss that was in a previous Zelda game, and it's actually this one. It's actually funny how those two Let's Plays are going to tie together rather nicely here. Alright, yeah, we better try to calm him down. Maybe if you talk to him, okay. Well, we can ask him about all the Gorons who have gone missing, I guess. Everybody is taken to the fire temple. Alright, so that's where I have to go. Well, my dad was out. Ganondorf's followers came and took the ball. Apparently, Darunia is the only one of any value in this city. Yeah, okay, so Ganondorf's been practicing necromancy, so to resurrect this dragon. Went to the fire temple all by himself to try and save everybody. Well, it was brave of him, but it's probably just better leaving it to us. Yes, heat-resistant tunic. This is what we need, because as you can tell from the title, we're going to yet another volcano. We're going to Death Mountain Crater one more time. I haven't had the best of luck with that. But the Goron's tunic is going to make it so we can go in there. So here we go. Red. Red is really not my color, but okay. Alright, down this way. I didn't use this last time because there was no point. Oh, this is just a shop, by the way. If you ever need bombs or if you ever lose your Goron tunic, you can come buy another one here. Apart from that, they don't have much else. So, in this chamber here, where we first met Darunia, this statue can be moved. And this is a shortcut to Death Mountain Crater. Alright, and here we are, once again, inside a bloody volcano. Well, alright, the good news is, as I said, the Goron's tunic lets us stay in here perfectly fine. These rocks, by the way, we cannot destroy with bombs. We need something stronger. We'll be getting it in a moment. I believe the Goron named after myself mentioned a legendary hammer. We're going to need that. Alright. We also need to use the hook shot to get across here, but not at this distance. Seriously. I can't wait until we upgrade this thing so it goes further. Okay, wait, and... Yeah, Nintendo, feel free to tweak the range controls for the bow and the hookshot. Oh, Sheik is here. How does Sheik get around everywhere? I suppose Sheik is the one teaching us all these teleportation songs. Ah, so we're going to triumph over Ganondorf with the power of friendship. Well, it does seem to kind of be a common theme in anime and lots of Japanese video games, so sure, why not? And now Sheik is going to teach us the Bolero of Fire. One of the more complicated songs. And this song is just to get us back here in a hurry. Which is going to open up some possibilities here for us in a moment. Don't ask me why we are having a duet on this rickety wooden bridge over a lake of lava. Could we not just go over there on terra firma first? Alright, so we can get back here whenever we want to now. Nope. Sudden wall of fire. And Sheik is gone. Alright. So, as you can probably see in the distance there, or maybe not, there's a heart piece up there. Yeah, right there. In order to get to it, there's a couple ways to do it, actually. Right, that leads to the Fire Temple. However, if we go back to the Temple of Time and go back in time... Yeah, no, me suggesting time travel. And plant a magic bean in a spot of soil that's right by that pedestal we'll teleport to with the song. It will become another one of those beansprout magic carpets by the time we come back. Do not ask me how this plant is supposed to survive growing in a volcano. I know volcanic soil is very nutritious for plants, but still, I mean, I think the temperatures will just burn it up. I guess it is a magic bean, so I guess that explains it. Alright, so let's go back to the Temple of Time, and then we'll come back here. We're going to do a bit of back and forth here, both in teleportation and with time travel. Also, it's about time I showed off these teleportation songs. Alright, back in the Temple of Time. Very briefly. So this is a very simple process. We just take the Master Sword, shove it back in the pedestal, and we're now going to go back 7 years in time. Alright, yeah. An important thing to note is that my tunic has changed back from red to green. The Goron tunic can only be worn by adults. Which is going to make what we're about to do now a little risky. But not too much. Alright. Oh, I must have messed up the song. In my defense, it's been a while since I played this, and I don't have to want to go to the Temple of Fire. Okay, yeah, okay. Let's try this again. Alright, off to the Fire Temple. Hopefully we don't just immediately incinerate him upon arrival. As Navi said, warns, we cannot stay here for very long. But we have over a minute, so... And this is going to take no time at all. So immediately take out the magic beans, plant one here, and now we can go back. Fortunately, yes, we do not immediately incinerate. As you can see, the heart pieces actually exist in this time period as well, so we could technically get them. I could have gotten that one a while ago, but I decided against it. Because it fits a bit better here, I think. Alright, back to the Temple of Time, get the Master Sword, go forward 7 years in time, and then go back to Death Mountain. Yeah, we're going to be doing this a fair bit from now on. Alright, let's go! I guess this time travel aspect is kind of interesting, especially since but I still prefer the Two Worlds approach from A Link to the Past to this. I think they did it better in that. I mean, there's only a handful of times this comes up at all. Admittedly, in both games. Alright, back to Death Mountain Crater. Alright, so now, 7 years later, we have this magic carpet plant again. Alright, we need to jump off right here. Yep, careful. Alright, and now we just need to grab this heart piece. So that should be the first one because I collected enough to get a full heart container. Two full heart containers last time. Yeah, so we're going to need to collect a few more. Alright, jump down. Technically speaking, I could take that carpet plant to get to the other one. It's possible. However, rather than race through this, I want to show you that there's another way into Death Mountain Crater that we haven't used yet. Well, we went along the path earlier, 7 years ago, when we were getting to the top of Death Mountain Crater to get the magic meter from the Great Fairy. So we're going to follow that same path this time because I want to showcase how it's different for you now that you're an adult. When you can no longer just turtle under the Highland Shield and, you know, just ignore all the falling flaming rocks. Because it's not going to be that simple this time. That, and I mean, I have 2 hours to fill here. Might as well go and make the most of this. Alright, it's up this way, for those of you that don't remember. Alright, so we just jump across here. Oh. I didn't jump. Link didn't jump. What? Alright. He did before when he was younger. What, Link has 7 years taking the spring out of your jump? You spent most of that in stasis. Maybe after roll. Okay, rolling jump apparently. I'm positive he did that without that. We were last here, huh? Yeah. Remember this? Yeah. The trick here is just keep rolling. You can't really effectively block the falling rocks with the Highland Shield anymore. Apparently these Wool Skulltulas are still here. Oh yeah, there's also a Tektite now, just ignore it. it cannot jump high enough to get you. And the only real difference now is we're using the bow to get rid of these Sculptulas as opposed to just the boomerang or the slingshot last time. There we go. Almost there. Alright, so in here. And then we just basically go straight forward. Yeah. So straight down this way. Yeah, there we go. If we go this way, the camera will shift and we'll start crawling down this little climbing wall section. And now this is just a matter of approaching the right way. Oh, I kind of messed that up a little bit. That's fine. There we go. Second heart piece. Halfway to a new heart container. Alright, let's go back up now. Is there anything else here before I just teleport back down to the to below there? Alright. A little bridge and a walkway. Bombable wall. This is one of the things I think they got right in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. You take out a bomb inside a volcano, I think you should just explode. But this is the 90s, that's not the case here. Oh, it's just a Sheikah stone. Alright, that's not worth it. Alright. Bolero fire. Let's go back to the fire. Let's go back to where we were, and let's go into the fire temple now. Yes, teleport me approximately 60 feet. There we go. Alright, now we just proceed into the fire temple. Yeah, there we go. Use the same ladder trick as before to avoid taking fall damage. And welcome to the Fire Temple. Definitely not my favorite of the temples here, but it is less confusing than a layout, I think, than the Forest Temple. Or at the very least, less of an annoying layout, because there are lots of locked doors in here, but the process to actually getting the small keys needed to unlock them is pretty straightforward. Hey, we're into Darunia! And the boss door already. Yeah, it's us. Yeah, well, it has been 7 years for you. For me, it's been, I don't know, most, what, a couple hours? Yeah, we heard that. Yeah, he's resurrected an ancient dragon. Top of that, he's going to feed my people to that evil dragon as a warning to the others that they might resist him. Yeah, well, that sounds like the things that an evil tyrant would do. Especially if they happen to have a dragon on hand. So he's going to go ahead and try and seal away the dragon. He doesn't have the hammer, though, so he has not the best chances, and he's asking us to go rescue his people. We'll, of course, because we are the protagonist in a video game, end up doing both. He's kind of nice. Also, apparently somehow he can get through that door without having the boss key, even though we cannot. Don't ask me why, this is a video game. Alright, oh dear! Yeah, as you can see, the Goron tunic allows us to avoid taking damage in lava for a time. If you stay in there too long, you will start taking fire damage. Alright, so we just hop around over here. And this is the first of the many Goron cells we have to open. There's always a switch here, and there's always a chest inside which contains a key we need. One of them will eventually have the boss key. Most of the time, it's just going to be a small key we need. This is kind of one of the reasons I find, in retrospect, just especially having played this, I find the Fire Temple less annoying than the Forest Temple, because while there are going to be a series of locked doors we have to get through, in short order, we're going to be able to have basically the keys we're going to need. Because we have to rescue the Gorons anyway. Also, the other thing is, each of the Gorons we rescue, they're going to have us a little bit of a hint for us on what we're supposed to do next. That's the pillar he was talking about. We need to knock that down here so we can get across to the boss door. Don't worry, we'll end up doing that at some point. In the meantime, we have to go the other way now that we have this key. And then unlock this door. Just avoid the fire keys, they're mostly just a nuisance. Alright, this room is much larger than some of the other chambers we've been in. And there are many ways to go here. There's a locked door over there, but we don't have the key just yet. So we have to explore the other areas of this room to get the key we need. Apparently that fire keys decided it was just going to give up and not attack me. Like, nah, I'm good. Let's go have lunch. I don't feel like setting Link on fire today. Oh yeah. There are also these lava bubbles, which you'll see, which leap out of the lava and try and burn you. Oh, great. Yeah. I prefer to use the bow to take care of them. Ranged weapons are very useful against it. Alright. This is a false wall that's bombable. You can hear the sound difference when you hit it with your sword. It's not cracked, but all you have to do is put a bomb here and it'll blow up. This does mean I'm doing something slightly out of intended sequence here because we're supposed to meet a Goron who tells us about that, and we haven't done so yet. It literally doesn't matter. Alright, so we have to free this one now, and he's going to give us another key and a hit. Yes, you're free to go. I'll tell you a secret for saving me. There are switches in this temple that have to either hit with our sword, or we can use, yeah. The Goron special crop means bombs, or bomb flowers, I suppose. Alright, and in this chest we have one of the small keys we're going to need. Now I could go for that locked door, but I've learned my lesson from the Forest Temple. Fully explore a room before you move on to a locked door now, because you never know when they'll hide other keys. So now we're going to go explore, well, I guess the left side of this room. Now it's the right because we're facing this way, but the western half of the room, I guess, if you want to avoid that. All right. So we have to get on that platform that's spraying fire everywhere. It uses a flame jet to propel itself. And now we have to go this way. Okay, these platforms will begin to sink into the lava. There's not a big deal at all. There's plenty of time. Alright, so through this door is the next Goron cell. And this is the Goron I mentioned who tells you about the fact that you can find those false walls that you can bomb. Yeah, see, a wall that you can destroy with a bomb will sound different than a regular wall if you hit with your sword. Yeah, it doesn't come up that often. Alright, and now we have the second key. Yep, alright, so now we can head towards the locked door. However, there is one thing first. There was a, there's a blue block up there that we can teleport with the Song of Time, so let's try that first. Be thankful this is not Majora's Mask, which means I didn't have to restart the entire game again, or the cycle of the game. Alright, so there's another door up here. Let's see what's through it. Okay, so here we have a couple of new enemies. First, these flying tiles, which you may remember from Echoes of Wisdom, and basically almost every other Zelda game, and Link to the Past. Yeah, they basically show up in every game. The other thing to keep in mind here, though, in the distance there, is a like. So that will eat your shield and your tunic. Which is bad in here because, you know, we need the tunic to not burn up. The best way to kill them is just shoot them with the bow. For some reason, do not ask me why, sometimes they're immune to arrow damage, but sometimes they're not. I guess it's supposed to be going for a specific weak point or something. And here's another golden Skulltula. I'm just gonna jump attack to get it, I think. Oh, missed it. Maybe if I get a bit closer. There we go. One more and we can get the next upgrade. Alright. With this, now we can go towards the locked door because we've done everything else. This room's interesting. So this little plank of wood here, we're going to slide down it, and we can't go back up the way we came. But we have this chain link fence, essentially, all around it that we can use to climb. We need to climb up there to push that block onto that flame jet to turn it into an elevator, essentially. So, we need to do that, and the reason I went and got the other key is because, well, once again, there's a series of locked doors here. There's another locked door on the other side of that elevator there we need to take. I took out both those keys with one arrow. That's rare. Yeah, there's nothing really over there. Put some hearts and some keys. I have plenty of healing items, so we should be fine. Alright. Now we just push this really heavy block down onto the flame jet. I'm surprised the flame jet didn't come back up, given how long that took. Alright, now we ride it up. And as you can see, here's the locked door, but we already have the key. So yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning from the Forest Temple. Alright, here's a Goron cell that we cannot open yet. We'll have to go around. And here we see another enemy that we've encountered before. The fire slugs, or as I call them, Slugma, because they remind me of Slugma from Pokemon. All I have to do is hit them with your sword, and they will go out and you can kill them. They also consistently drop magic vials, which I like. They will try and attack you, but they're not very good at it. Alright, that crystal switch there. That is one of the switches they were talking that Goron warned us about. We have to either hit it with the sword, or we can blast it with a bomb. And I believe also shoot it with an arrow. Anything that'll hit it. So when we hit this one, as you can see, it gets rid of the ring of fire around that fence link up there that we need to climb up. Unfortunately, it's timed. So we need to get this block into position first. Climb up. Oh, I missed. Yeah, no, it's stuck in the hole now. Alright, so we have to climb up this, and then we have to jump at the right angle to latch on to, not this, again, the chain link fence area here. There we go. Alright, climb up here. And now we need to drop a bomb down here so it will trigger the switch. And we just climb up here. And now we're in the optimal position to climb up this section of fence before the Ring of Fire comes back. And yes, for those of you who are wondering, despite the fact that the Goron Tunic will protect us from being in lava and extreme heat, we still take fire damage. I used to be concerned that that Ring of Fire would come up and you'd get burned climbing up it, but the flames don't reach high enough and there's plenty of time. Now we have this maze area with these rolling boulders to get through. It's not too difficult, but the perspective can be confusing for if you're not used to it. Alright, so we free this Goron now. You can tell us another secret. Yeah, there are doors that fall down when you try to open them. We'll run to those later. Yeah, we just dodge them, and then we need to use a bomb to get rid of them. Alright. So I believe that's the fourth Goron we've rescued now. And we get another key. All the small keys are in these cells with the Gorons. So it's one of the reasons this dungeon's a bit more palatable than the Forest Temple, despite the fact, again, not the biggest fan of Death Mountain and Fire Temples and Volcanoes, just because I just imagine the heat would be really bad. Also, I don't like lava and falling in lava. It's not fun. On the plus side, it's cooled off in Canada a fair bit now. We're not having the heat wave seems to die down for a bit, but only a bit. We're out of July now, so okay. That was a locked door. All right, so yeah, I don't have a key for that door, so I guess we'll use the bow to shoot that eye switch and see what goes through this door with the iron bars. Alright, and through here we have... this room. Okay. This is the map, which is good because this will really help me navigate this area this temple much more easily. as I said earlier, the layout of these dungeons does get more confusing from this point onward, so the map really does help. Alright, well, we cannot go through that locked door, so we have to go the other way. Also, do not fall here. It's bad if we fall here. Alright, so... is this the way we're supposed to go? I think so. Yeah, there's a short corridor here that leads to another Goron cell. There we go. I guess none of the rest of the Gorons recognize me. When you're on fire, you can put yourself out with a swing of your sword or by rolling forward. Yeah, not that big of a deal, in all honesty. And let's grab the key. Alright. Now, where do we go from here? Is the question. Alright, so we need to find another way through here. Alright, so we can go through this door now. Now that we have the key, we can unlock the other door here. Be very careful here. There we go. That's the main thing I don't like about this dungeon design. Alright, now we're outside the caged area before we found the map. So we need to jump here, which unfortunately is going to cause a wall of fire to come up behind us. We now have to outrun it. There's a locked door up there we can't get through yet. We will come back, don't worry. In the meantime, we need to avoid all the lava bubbles and, of course, the wall of fire coming up behind us. This heart will help. Heal us a bit. Alright, now we climb up. Yeah. As you can see, we're given plenty of time. And we go through here. This brings us up into the elevated platforms we were navigating before in the maze. So, kill the slugmas. We can drop a bomb here, which is what Navi's going to tell us to do. This leads us back down. Yeah, just drop down. There we go. That trick saves so much time. This leads us to the switch that opens that Goron cell we couldn't open earlier. Right. Are you releasing me? No, I'm opening the door so you can stay imprisoned. Somewhere in this temple, you're sure to meet up with some creatures that dance as they attack. Arrows will not hurt them. Looks like you might need some of the Goron special crop. Yeah, you can use bombs against them, or you can use the hook shot, which means you don't have to consume resources. That's easier. Alright. Now once again, grab the small key. Yeah, you can only use it in this dungeon. I love how they say that now. Alright, unfortunately there's no shortcut to just having to climb back up this chain link fence, so here we go. I imagine climbing chain links in these sorts of fences is not easy on your hands. Oh yeah, the slugmas respawn because we left. Alright, oh dear. So we have to get to that switch now, because there's another Goron over there. So yeah, we promised Darunia we'd free his people. Also, we need all the small keys anyway, so we kind of need it anyway. So, half of one, six of the... sorry. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Alright, there we go. And now we have to go over there. That switch is definitely the furthest one from the cell. Alright. And leap. Don't ask me how he's getting out of here. Alright, and what do you have to tell me? If you find a place that you can see on the map but cannot reach, try playing your ocarina. Okay, yeah. That's for the Song of Time, is what he's trying to tell us. We already know about that. Alright, one more key for us. Key will open locked doors. Alright. Now, we have to go back the way we came. Through this chamber again. We want to make it to the locked door now. Yeah, because that'll lead us into that other chamber there. Unfortunately, they still create the wall of fire for us. Okay, avoid the lava bubble. I failed to do that. Alright. Wow. I have to take a lot of damage from the lava bubble. There we go. Unlock the door. Alright. This is just a straightforward passage into the second, I guess, tower section of the temple, I guess. Alright, now we come into this really large 3/4 of an octagon room. Alright, kill the fire piece. This grate here is above the room we were in before with Darunia. That's the that pillar right there is what we need to knock loose. Yes, it is. Alright, so we have to avoid these rotating flame pillars, and now there's going to be popping of walls of fire, which I'm going to run into all the time. Right, through here. Ah, this is the compass. Which, once more, I will just say I do not understand why people are always so annoyed when they get it. I find the compass quite helpful. Alright, so back out into the large chamber now. Alright, so we want to make it over to that section there with the large wall of fire. Unfortunately, I'm fairly certain we're blocked off from here, because we need to go through that door there, which we can't get to. So we have to go around first. Ah! I blocked the fire key, so only be knocked into the wall of fire. I trust you can see why I don't really like these fire temples. This is one of the doors that Goron told us about. Most of them are just enemies you just have to destroy. There we go. But there's at least one of them that actually conceals an actual door. Not that one, though. Well, I'm taking more damage in here more than anything else. Alright, so yeah. Yeah, this dungeon has a lot more hazards than some of the other ones. Apparently, I'm still trying to see if I can get across there. I cannot. As you can see, it's completely walled off. Alright, so we have to go to the other side of this room and then work our way around. Alright, we need to go to that locked door, which is not going to make easy for us, obviously. Alright, through here. Alright, now we need to play the Song of Time to teleport the block down here. Alright. We need the hammer for that to pound in that rusty switch. Yeah, sorry. This actually, unfortunately, takes us back out to where we were, and yeah. This is where Navi's going to explain that the switch looks rusted. We're going to need something a little more forceful to gently persuade it to go back down, as opposed to the normal switches we can just step on. Getting really tired of the fire keys. Ah! And the wall is afire. I mean, I trust you all can see why I don't like these sorts of temples. Alright, so now we're back here. We can't get to that Goron cell yet because I think that rusty switch is what we need to open it. Alright, so this takes us to the other side now. Alright, so we have to get to that switch, which is going to lower the large wall of fire over there. Oh, for crying out loud. I didn't even take damage from the key, so I'm just taking too much damage from all the other fire I was being hit with. Alright, now we need to make it there. The good news is, it's more or less a straight line. There we go. Okay. Let's restock on some bombs and some hearts. We need them. Yeah, this is the door I was telling you about. It's a fake door, but there's a real door behind it. Alright, and now we have a mini-boss fight against the fire dancers. One of them. These are the enemies they told us about, and just jumped on top of me. So, we have to extinguish the flows of fire. It will also scatter fire around the room, which is a bit of a problem. Then we just hit with the sword. As I said, you can use either the hook shot or the bombs if you want. I decided to use the bombs here. I think I find it easier to use the hook shot because they basically stay stationary but they spin around to generate all the fire. After that, it's just a matter of actually catching the thing and hitting it. Another interesting thing I really like about the fire dancers, as you can see, they change the color of their fire, but not the color of the flames they spread, which linger for quite some time, by the way, and you actually lose a fair bit of health from them. Alright, takes a few rounds of this, and now it goes from red to blue to green fire. Well, we're kind of going through the color spectrum here, at least for the primary colors of light. I wonder why they decided to have different primary colors of light than, you know, just primary colors, the ones you're talking, you know, kindergarten. Red, blue, and yellow instead of red, blue, and green. I wonder why. Anyway, who knows? In the meantime, just keep hitting this thing. This isn't very much to say about this boss fight, which is why I went on that tangent. Oh yeah, don't let it spin on top of you either. That's the other thing you probably do. Once it dies, it explodes. The explosion can damage you. Alright, so well, that was the first actual tricky mini-boss we had in a while. Alright, so we should probably drink this milk that is now 7 years old and would just be mold. Enjoy it, Link. Well, it still heals you, so... There we go. Finally starting to need to use healing items. I told you the game does get more difficult. So this is an elevator we can ride up now. And now we go through here. Alright, as you can see, we have another crystal switch here, and another ring of fire. Pretty similar setup to last time. It's actually a bit simpler this time around. I guess they decided to make it more complicated the first time. Right, there we go. Now we just climb yet another chain link fence. I guess they decided to use chain link fences for ladders in this dungeon because otherwise, I don't know, the wooden ladders would just combust or something. Personally, I think the metal chain link would become superheated. Okay. This is a very complicated room I have to explain here. There's a narrow pathway we have to follow to get to a treasure chest. And there's a pit there, so I'm going to cast Furore's Wind to create a warp point to teleport back here in case I fall. Because it's a very narrow passageway we have to move across relatively quickly. There we go. Alright, and yeah. Don't do that! There we go. I clearly demonstrated what you should not do now. Okay, let's teleport back with Ferore's Wind. Hey, at least we're getting to see what Ferore's Wind does now. Alright, and then create another warp point just in case I do it again. Oh well. Everyone makes mistakes. Alright. Let's try this again. We're going to need to cut some corners here a bit because we don't have a lot of time. That was a little risky, but we kind of needed to do it, and I think I did it. Okay. It only took 2 tries. That's pretty good. And now we have the Megaton Hammer. Press C to smash and break junk. Alright. We can now take this path back, which is much wider. We couldn't take it before because it's too slow. Oh yeah, and obviously, the reason I'm not using Din's Fire in here because it's the Fire Temple. Alright, so this you probably spotted before. This little platform we can hit with the Megaton Hammer, and we will knock it down, and we will follow it into the area below. Right, we can also knock these things out of existence now. They just literally disintegrate when we hit it with the hammer. More fire keys. I swear they decided to make them the most prevalent enemy in this dungeon just to be irritating. Alright, hit this peg with the hammer, and it's going to create a staircase for us. Alright, we need to grab this wooden box. Don't ask me how it's not just kindling in this place. Alright, put it down here. Get hit by a fire key yet again. Knock this little peg out. And we follow it down. And now we're back in the area we were in before. Right, so we can use the Megaton Hammer here to open this door. And now we can finally free that Goron we've been basically trying to get to for a while. There we go. Yes, we are releasing you. Alright, what are you going to tell me? A door is hidden inside the statue at the entrance of this temple. Yeah, we saw that. But the Goron special crop will not work. Yeah, we have the hammer now, so we're fine. Alright. There we go. I believe this might be the final small key we need. Right. Back out the way we came. And now we can take the shortcut back. Yeah, there's a treasure chest up there, but I don't think it's anything important. Alright. Hit this with a hammer. And now we fall down into the main chamber we were in before with the boss key, and we take no damage because otherwise it would be too much. Alright. We still need to find the boss key. Alright, so down here is this door we didn't go in before. And there's the boss chest and the last Goron we have to rescue. We have to go around to get it, though. So, as he said, there's basically a series of pillars, essentially, over here. We can take this out with the Megaton Hammer. There's a game in Japan that this is based on. I can't remember what it's called, though, at the moment. Alright, and here we have a room full of fire enemies. Hey, I've managed to hit one with a sword. 2 with a sword! That's rare. Alright, good. And, okay, that one. Oh, 3 with the sword, wow. Well, it's a closed space, I guess it's easier to hit them with the sword. The slug ones are actually getting things to attack me. There we go. Also, we were able to refill our magic meter, that's nice. Alright, what's through here? Alright, so it's another one of these rooms with the flying tiles, the like, and the golden skulltula. Yeah, there's not much to dealing with the flying tiles. Alright, we need the bow and take out the like, though. There we go. I guess the trick is to wait between firing arrows. And this one we kill with the sword. Alright, that should be 20 golden skulltulas. We can go get our reward afterwards. But we still have a temple to clear. But first, we have our second fight with a fire dancer. I have to use the hookshot this time. I seem to have difficulty targeting it this time. I was able to get it quick enough that it hasn't spread any flames everywhere, which is nice. We might be able to avoid taking too much damage this time around. I have some more milk in it. We don't. So far, so good. Getting the hang of fighting them now this is the second round. I find the thrust has the best reach for attacks against enemies that move quickly. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any vertical range, unlike normal slicing. But for targeted enemies, this tends to work best, I find. There we go. Oh, I forgot about the blast damage. Alright, that's pretty straightforward. And now we got a treasure chest, which is probably not going to be anything important because the only important thing we are missing is the boss key. And it is bombs. Okay. Just in case we were running low on them, I guess. Well, it's nice they're helping us restock. If you see something suspicious, bomb it! Alright, and here we are. The last Goron. Yes, we are releasing you. Yeah. He has nothing left to tell us, which means we've gotten all of them. And more importantly, we have the boss key now. Yep, so now we can follow Darunia into the boss chamber. So yeah, there is just one section of the temple I didn't get to, and there's a treasure chest there. However, it's not anything important as far as I know. Besides, if we just happen to miss one Goron in a cell, does it really matter? But we're trying to save Hyrule here. Oh, I went the wrong way. Alright. Little beat up for his boss fight, so we should probably heal first. I think there's a fairy over in one of these urns. So I have a hook shot over here, and then I can drink the last bit of the milk I have. Before, you know, it gets even weirder. Because, you know, it's been in a ball for 7 years, and now we've taken it to a volcano, and now drunk in it twice. Alright, now... Okay, some bombs. There we go. Put the fairy in the bottle, and now have 2 fairies. I don't remember this boss fight being particularly too difficult, but it's better safe than sorry. Also, I just like going into a boss fight fully healed. Yeah, we don't really need anything else but the Mega Power in this fight, so... Alright, yeah, we have to navigate our way back now. And then we jump across. And now we save, because we're about to fight a boss, and you never take your chances when you're fighting a boss. Alright, and here we go. Alright, time to leap across here and fight a dragon. No going back. And here we have the original Volvagia. As you can see, very similar design to the one we fought in Echoes of Wisdom. I actually really like this dragon design. More of a traditional Asian dragon than the more European ones we're used to. Alright. Yeah, Navi doesn't know its weak point. Fortunately, I do. Hit it with the hammer. And then when it goes down, hit it with the hammer again. You keep trying to hit it again multiple times, I'm pretty sure you're going to get 2 hits in. After that, Volvagia is going to start flying around and breathing fire everywhere. Try to avoid getting hit, because the fire breath does a fair bit of damage when it falls. It's also going to do this sort of Ouroboros routine, where it sort of tries to encircle you. Not really that big of a deal. I can't remember if you take damage from touching this thing or not. I mean, it looks like it's made of lava, so you might. And now we continue to play whack-a-mole with the dragon. There you go. And then, again, hit it with the hammer. It's a pretty straightforward boss fight. It's a bit longer than some of the other ones because, as I said, Volvagia will just spend a lot of time flying around. So Volvagia will alternate between flying around breathing fire and flying around and causing basically an earthquake to cause rocks to fall from the ceiling to hit you. And the rocks take off 2 hearts each, so this is probably the more dangerous of the 2 phases. Also avoid Volvagia doing that because when it's coming back in there, because rocks continue to fall for at least a little while after the charge hit. Then go around and hit it with hammer. And then hit it with the hammer again! I wish there was more I could say about this boss fight, but it's very straightforward. Yeah, this is very much a sort of no-frills, no-tricks boss fight. Just hit the enemy in weak points and avoid getting hit as much as possible. I suppose the main difference between Volvagia and some of the previous bosses we fought is Volvagia does very good damage, as you can see. I'm already at half health. He's only hit me a few times. Hammer, and then hit it with the hammer again! This is not one of the more complicated boss fights. Alright, I believe it's going to fly up and cause another earthquake now to cause rubble to fall from the ceiling. Yeah, here we go. Just stay mobile during this part. It's the best you can do, really. Going back into Burrow. Alright, I believe this is where it starts. Yes, it starts faking out where it's going to come up. There we go. Oh, ooh, that was close. I was almost hit with the fire breath. I can't remember how much damage it does because it's actually pretty easy to dodge the dragon's breath weapon. It's funny how in this boss fight against a dragon, its breath isn't the most dangerous thing about it, despite the fact that's usually what you fear most from a dragon. Alright, that's a fake out. Let's get them right next to it. Okay, hit with the hammer. And once more, hit it with hammer again! There we go! And that, everyone, is the boss fight. It's now going to do its little dragon dance through the air again as it burns up. Alright. Yep. And this time, stay dead. This boss fight took on a tragic turn in the Legend of Zelda manga, by the way, when it turns out that Link and Volcano were old friends. I don't know if any of you read the manga adaptation of Ocarina of Time or not. Well, we got a heart container, which brings us to our second line of hearts. Alright. And that's the fire temple done, everyone. Let's get out of here. A rare cutscene that we are not in. Alright, yeah, so as you can see, killing Volvagia broke the spell on Death Mountain and is no longer cursed, and no longer has the ring of fire. It looks like it's about to erupt. So we saved the day once again. Now we're back in the Chamber of Sages. And it should not surprise us at all who turns out to be the Sage of Fire here. The only Goron who, you know, has any common sense. At least this one makes sense, unlike Yunobu. Yeah, so he's the Sage of Fire. It kind of makes sense when you think about it. Yeah, alright, time to get the next medallion. Oh, and it's also a sign of our friendship. So it should become a bit of a hint at this point that a lot of the sages we're going to run into are going to be people we met in the past. And here we have the fire medallion now. Yeah. Alright, and with that, we are halfway through our quest to collect the medallions and free the sages. We've freed 3. Oh, we've freed 2 and collected 3 medallions. And we have 3 more to go. Alright, so there's very little left that we have to do in Death Mountain. In fact, I can't think of much else. We got the heart pieces. We have the hammer now. We have the fire medallion. Yeah. I guess we can go check on Goron City before we leave. It'd be nice to just check in. Oh, wait, no, there's something really important I forgot about. Wow, I can't believe I actually forgot about that when I was recording this. We have to go through here now that we have the Megaton Hammer. We can smash these rocks now. Because in here is yet another great fairies fountain. Wow, I can't believe I forgot about that. No, this is a very important fairies fountain, too. So, play Zelda's Lullaby once more. Oh, wow, I messed up playing Zelda's Lullaby. Yeah, there we go. Alright. We once again run into the Godiva Girl Great Fairies. Alright, so she's the Great Fairy of Wisdom. She's going to enhance our magic meter. This is quite similar to what happened in A Link to the Past, where we managed to, well, where in that game we basically kind of, Heatro said he halved our magic power, but in that just halved the cost, the amount of magic power necessary to use our magic items and cast spells. In this game, they decided to go the opposite route, and now the magic unit is just twice as large. So now you have twice as much. Which is going to come in very handy going forward, because we actually are going to get access to quite a few useful magical items that we need from here on out. Alright, there we go. Ah, that's nice and long. That's going to be very, very useful going forward. I can't believe I forgot about that. That's very important. Alright. Now let's go back to Goron City. Oh yeah, we can take off the Goron tunic now. Red is not my color, so let's go back to green. There we go. And life can return to normal for them now. Alright, so I guess the next thing we should do... Oh, okay, what do you have? An Arctic wind is blowing from Zora River. Do you feel it? Well, not from here, I imagine. Yes, we have to head to Zora's domain next. Before we do that, there's some side stuff we can do, though. The first thing we should probably do is head back to Kakariko Village and collect our reward for killing 20 golden Skulltulas. That's probably the next thing we should do. And since I don't have a song to just teleport us there yet, we're just going to go there. They're the old-fashioned way. The other thing we could do while we're in Kakariko Village is start, and I do mean start, the trading sequence. I don't know how much I'm going to do that. It's not necessary to beat the game. But we are flying through this, because we have three temples left to do. Even taking into account the preparatory stuff we have to do for some of these things, we're well on course for beating this game before the remake releases, as far as I can tell. I mean, there still isn't an official release date, but I assume it's sometime near the end of the year. Besides, my date to finish this by is going to be the start of October, as I've said, because I have some Halloween stuff I want to do this year. Yeah, so this is the guy we talked to before. So that's the one we freed this time. Cursed and broken, thank you. Here's a reward for you. So this is the Stone of Agony, which is basically an item that was meant to interact with the Rumble Pack that was introduced for the Nintendo 64 when it was first out. My Switch, which I'm playing on, does not have a Rumble Pack. It does have a Rumble feature, though, so it works off of that. Alright, let's talk to this cuckoo lady. And she's going to give us a pocket cuckoo, which apparently she's not allergic to. And this is the initial part of the trading sequence, which is probably all we're going to get to today. Alright, yep. Alright, so she wants us to look after it for a little while. To see if... Yeah, after a while, and I'll check out its mood. Alright, sure, why not? We borrowed the pocket egg. It'll hatch into a cuckoo overnight. Alright. That's basically everything we do here for the time being. So, we can leave, and we can check out some of the other places we've been to see how things have changed in 7 years, and then we can start heading on towards Zora's River. Won't get to the new temple, the next temple today, but we can do some stuff that leads up to it, at the very least. Alright, as you can probably guess, the first stop I want to go to is Lon Lon Ranch. I know I'm not looking to get more milk. The fairies are fine. However, there is a side quest we can do here. Though it looks like the sun might set before we get there, but I have the sun song, so that's fine. Yeah, okay. Alright, sun song. Because it needs to be day for what we're going to be doing. Wow. I'm really messing up some of the songs today. Oh yeah. That's all it takes, by the way, for the cuckoo to hatch. Well, we'll go back and show it to her at some point. Alright, as you can see, some things have changed around here. Let's go pay Malon a visit. Haven't seen her in a little while. Maybe she's in here. As you can see, she's grown into a fine young woman, but is a little surprised to see us. Apparently she doesn't recognize us. Since Ganondorf came, people of the castle town have gone, places have been ruined, and monsters are wandering everywhere. Mr. Ingo is just using the ranch to gain Ganondorf's favor, so everyone seems to be turning evil. And her father was kicked out of the ranch by Mr. Ingo. And if she disobeys him, he'll treat the horses so badly. So she feels trapped at the moment. What happens when we play Epona's song for her? I don't remember if I did that. Because we know the song. Alright. Nothing. Apparently that doesn't trigger anything at this point. Alright, yeah, so it's the same thing she said last time. Alright then. Well, let's see if we can go have a chat with Mr. Ingo. Well, there's plenty we can do. So here we have Mr. Ingo, who is sort of the Luigi-style character to Talon, who's the Mario-style character. Apparently he thinks he didn't cheat Talon out of the ranch. Yeah, well, the fact that Ganondorf recognizes your talents and gave the ranch to you is probably a bad sign. Alright. We should pay in the rupees. No, I know how to ride. It's pretty straightforward. Although, I'll say now, Nintendo, if you're watching this, feel free to change the horse riding controls as well from the remake. They definitely need some updating. If we play Epona's song here, though, Epona will recognize us, and we can come riding over, and we can ride her instead of just the, well, let's put it this way, the subpar horse that he wants to give us. And as some of you have probably figured out, the point of coming here is we are going to try and get Epona permanently. Epona is necessary for a couple of things in this game, but not a lot, believe it or not. She's actually rather underutilized. Alright, I'm pretty sure we have to do this little... yeah, this section first before we can talk to him. Because once we prove the fact that we're a relatively decent rider, he's going to want to challenge us to a race. And this is important. You are going to want Epona for that race, not the horse he gives you. Because Ingo is not exactly to be trusted. Okay. Wait. How did I get 5 more rupees? Alright, I'm going to actually create a save point in here. Because, well, the horse controls aren't very good. And since he's going to cheat, I'm going to, I think, turnabout's fair play. No, I don't need to ride. Don't need to learn how to ride. I already did it. Alright, so that's 10 more rupees. He's already taken 20 rupees off us, by the way. Notice that. Alright, play opponent's song once more, because we need her for this. Not the horse he gives us. Alright, now we just need to get on Epona. And now we should be able to go talk to him. And he'll challenge us to a race. Yeah, 1 lap around the corral with that horse. And that's why we want to use this. We'll use Epona, not the horse he gives us. Yeah, we're wagering 50 rupees. Alright, so... yeah, he cheats and goes before you do. The trick to this race is to stay on the inside of the corral, so the inside track here. Use all but 1 of your carrots to speed Epona up, and then try and stick ahead. But save 1 or 2 at the very least, because your carrots will respawn faster that way, and you can just easily get around. Unfortunately, Ingo isn't the one to take losing gracefully. So, in order to avoid finding out the simulation, he wants to challenge again. And this time, if we win, we get Epona. Which is what we want out of this. Honestly, 50 rupees is not that important. Once again, he's going to cheat, and he's going to try and interfere with us, so I have to get ahead of him a bit here. Again, stay on the inside track, it's easier. And just try and stay in front of him. Get in front of him literally if you want to just let him tailgate you a bit. Try and avoid him passing you. And once you get to right here, just use all your carrots to get a speed boost. Honestly, it's pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, the horse controls aren't the best. Yes, it is Epona. Well, that's a secret I'll be keeping to myself. He was going to present that horse to Ganondorf. Yeah, you did. But as I said, he's a sore loser, so he's going to, as promised, let us keep the horse, but he's going to try and trap us at Longland Ranch. Which proves he's not only not very trustworthy, he's also not very smart. There's very little he could do to trap us here. We can teleport. But Epona will be stuck, so we can use her to get out of here. There we go. And that's the main thing we wanted to do at Longland Ranch. And it's also going to start the downfall for Ingo and the fact that Longland Ranch will eventually get back to where it was. We can stop by there later to see what I mean. I think we have to leave and come back later. I could go to Kakariko Village, but I don't really want to start the trading sequence now, or continue it just yet. So we should probably head to Zora's River. Because we're not getting to the next temple yet. But we can do some of the preparatory stuff we need for that. Besides, I'm really excited for the next temple because it's one I love and everyone else seems to hate. Oh, okay, yeah. These are the Poes I told you about that just appear in Hyrule Field. Now that we have Epona, they're going to randomly start spawning. We need to kill 10 of those and bring their souls to the Poe Collector. You do that and you get the 4th bottle. The downside is it's, as I said, the horse controls are terrible, and it's very hard. It's also unnecessary, and very time consuming. And probably a lot of other, and annoying, and a lot of other things probably. So I'm probably not going to do that. Alright, now that we have the Song of Storms, we can open this one up too. Alright, there we go. As you can see, there's a couple business scrubs down here. They don't usually sell anything worthwhile is the problem. What are you selling? Alright, you win, spare me, and I'll sell you a green potion for 40 rupees. A green potion's not bad, but I'm pretty sure it's only 30 to buy one in a shop. Alright, you win. If you spare me, I'll sell you a red potion. That's even worse! Okay, I'm going home then. Yeah, I guess if you need potions, this is a good thing for you to know about, but, I mean, it's not that hard to find potions and just buy potions. There's a shop in Kakariko Village that sells them. There's a shop in Hyrule Castle 7 years ago that sells them. Lots of other shops sell them too. Besides, you don't really need a red potion. The fairies are better than that, and you only need 1 or 2 green potions at most in this game. There are blue potions, of course, but unlike in just A Link to the Past or other games where you can just buy them, you have to do some work to get them. Unfortunately, it's again probably not worth it. Alright, so as you can see, it's going to start snowing now. Yes, Zora's Domain has cooled off considerably since we were here last. Oh dear. Alright, we need to play Zelda's Lullaby again to open this up. There we go. Now we can go through and see the full extent of just how much Zora's Domain has changed. As you can see, it's basically completely frozen over. All of the Zoras are trapped under the ice. Even the shop is frozen over. We can't even get in there. Not that the shop really sells anything of importance. And up here, as you can see, even King Zora is frozen solid in red ice. Red ice, that is unusual. Maybe there's something we can do about this. Alright, well, we'll have to see. So out here, Jabu Jabu is also gone, and there's more and more ice here. So the next section is going to be a sort of mini dungeon that we need to go through. But first we have to navigate our way across this frozen lake. And by doing that, we have to jump across these icebergs. The first things first, though, heart piece. Let's get this heart piece. That gives us 3. If we can collect 1 more, we'll have 12 hearts. And there's an Octorok there. Try to not fall in, by the way, because you can't really climb back up on most of these icebergs. Alright. Just a bit of leaping. Try and be careful because the ice is slippery. Ignore the Octorok. Just kind of spit some rock at you, but that's not important. Alright, we need to go in here. Alright, this is the mini dungeon I was talking about. Welcome to the Ice Cave, or Ice Cavern. I just call it the Ice Cave because that's what it is. So, much like how the Forest Temple was originally going to be a wind-themed temple, the next temple we're going to is the Water Temple, but it was originally going to be an Ice Temple. This is the leftover aspect of that idea, and unsurprisingly, Din's Fire will make short work of these Freezards. These are the original Freezards. And this is probably pretty close to where I was first introduced to the concept of a Frost Breath for the first time. It wasn't, though, because, again, I played A Link to the Past first. So the origin of Frost Breath for me probably would have been against Trinex. But this probably is a stronger memory for me for this, particularly because the Freezards make a nice little ow sound when... I can't really do it well. I can, but I can't do it very loud. The sound effect for it. Let's see, can I do it close up? don't know if you actually picked it up or not. I'll have to listen to that or not. Back or not. Alright. In the meantime, what I should be explaining is we need to collect these silver rupees. Because once we collect all of them, that door opens. There's also a golden Skulltula up here that we need to get. Well, I don't need to, but I'm going to get. There it is. There we go. Destroy the Skulltula and prove to be God. Yeah. Wrong button there. Alright. Yeah, try and avoid getting hit too much by that spinning ice fan thing. Yeah, I love that sound effect. That's still the sound effect that Frost Breath makes for me when I imagine it. Every time I cast in Dungeons & Dragons. Or anything else, really. It's what it sounds like to me. There you go. That's one of my core memories of playing this game. That sound. Okay. And here we have the ice keys, which are much more dangerous and much more annoying than their fire counterparts. So yeah, everything in here can freeze us solid, by the way. As even when we're frozen, not only are we encased in ice, and not only are we held immobile for a while, we actually lose health, as basically I assume our heart slows down from the cold. I mean, you can't freeze to death, so yeah. That's the thing. Oh dear. Alright, I really do need to be more careful here because it's very slippery in here. With a boat. There we go. The other thing you will notice is, unlike the fire keys, the cold aura that surrounds the ice keys does not go away once you block them with your shield. I should probably get the parts just to replenish myself because I'm going to take a lot of damage here, I imagine. I can see why they didn't go with this, because I imagine the whole slipping and sliding thing would probably be... They probably felt that would be a bit too annoying. And then again, it's ironic that what they did go for the water temple wasn't any more well received. And I'm frozen again. Well, this is a taste of my own medicine. Is blue fire. It doesn't seem natural. Maybe we can use it for something. Yes. We need this blue fire to melt the red ice. Unfortunately, we need something to carry the fire in, which means I have to now use this fairy. That's fine. At least it took a lot of damage, so I'm getting something out of it at least. All right. Ball of the blue fire. Yeah, we're gonna need a lot of this. Fortunately, I only realistically need one bottle for it. I also like the fact that the freezers shatter when you hit them. Ah! Yep. Oof. I could see this getting a little tedious after a while. I can see why Nintendo decided an entire dungeon of this is probably not a good idea. Personally, I like ice-themed dungeons and water-themed dungeons. I prefer them over the fire-themed ones in Zelda games. There we go. Now all of the keys are dead. Alright. Let's melt the ice. Kind of a missed opportunity to make it like purple water spreading out from the ice as it melts. Alright, and now we have the dungeon map. There is a map in here. This place is not very big though, so... And it's not really all that complicated, so we probably didn't need the map, but I'll collect it anyway. Alright, we need to collect more blue fire as well. Ironically, despite it being called a cool flame, it has assumed presumably a cold flame, so it's not meant to burn, it melts ice for some reason. Despite the fact it should probably, you know, freeze the more. It's cold. Does that mean this ice is hot? I don't know. Video game logic, I don't know what you want me to say. Alright, so we need to melt one of these passageways open, though. One of them, I think it's the other one. Yeah. This leads to an area with more blue fire that's more easily accessible, so I want to start here. Of course, I could have just emptied 2 bottles and unlocked both passages, but why would I do that? I want to hang on to some of my healing items. Alright. Here we go. Kill that keys first. Okay. I guess technically the ice keys are surrounded by an aura of blue fire, so I guess it does freeze normal things, but it melts the red ice for some reason. Alright, this is the compass, which, by the way, I fully admit we do not need in this dungeon. This place is small, and we've already got most of the treasure chests as it is. But you can see how this was probably originally intended to be an actual dungeon proper, before it was scrapped at some point. Personally, I think having to collect all this blue fire all the time would have been tedious. Okay. And here we have another heart piece, and yeah, we're not leaving without that. Alright, that's 4, and that's heart container number 12. Alright, pick up more blue fire before we leave, because we need to melt the other passageway now. Alright, so let's go back to the main chamber. Oh, no, wait, there is a gold Skulltula in here. Well, I might as well get it while we're here. I don't even remember what we get at 30. I think there is a heart piece you can get from collecting all the certain number of golden Skulltulas, but I do not remember which one it is. From here on out, this is basically as far as I usually get in hunting them down, so this is as far as my knowledge goes. I'll probably look it up at some point if I'm curious. Alright, avoid getting hit by this thing again. Nope. Oh yeah, we also have a new enemy here, type here. The flying pots. It's like the flying tiles, except they just are just regular urns that fly at you. Alright, so through here is where I have to go now. Alright, and now we have a classic puzzle in Ice Dungeons. We have to slide an ice block along an icy floor. In this case, to collect silver rupees. Alright, in the meantime, I'm going to kill these ice keys because, as you can see, they're just going to make this miserable. There we go. There's one more flying around. And yes, I see the golden Skulltula. We'll get to that in a moment. It is not going to attack me. There we go. We're running low on arrows. Alright, so we have to do a few things here. We have to slide that block around to get to the various silver rupees. We also need to get up to that blue fire. I could have made this a bit simpler by going back and getting more blue fire from the previous room. However, it's fine. Because one of the silver rupees is encased in red ice. Alright. So, the ice block will slide as far as it can until it hits one of these pillars. So, we need to slide it to them, and then we have to slide it to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until we get all the rupees. We also need to get up to, obviously, the blue fire. Alright, that's 2 down. Now we can push this one into position and get to the blue fire. Alright. we go. Now, we can't really push the ice block back to the way it was, so we have to reset the puzzle. And the way we do that is by pushing it into one of these chasms, basically. I just collect that one normally, so I don't need to worry about that one. But it's still stuck here, so let's push it there. And that will reset the ice block's position. Fortunately, it doesn't reset anything else in the puzzle. We should just be able to get to that one easily enough. Alright, there we go. Right, slide the ice block back into the abyss, and it'll pop up here again. Alright, push it there. Now we need to push it over there. Nope. Yeah, you sometimes will climb up when you try to push the ice block. It's a problem with the A button being used for both climbing and pushing. Alright, now we can melt the ice to get the last rupee. There we go. Alright, one last thing we need to do, push the ice block over here now, because we cannot get to it on our own. Alright. No. It does get tedious sometimes when that happens. Push it that way. Then push it to that pillar. Then we push it back towards the south. It will connect on that one, and then we should just be able to push it all the way over there. Ah! No, I think that's wrong. There we go. Yeah. That, there, now I realize it. We should just be able to push it the rest of the way there. Yeah, can't push it against the pillar. It's stuck. Alright. Now, it looks a bit far, but we can climb up here, and we should be able to leap the rest of the distance. There we go. With a freezer to kill and avoid getting skewered by too many icicles. Unfortunately, we have one more section of red ice to get rid of, which means we have to go back for the blue fire. And because I left the room, all the ice keys are back. Now, I could kill them all and spend time getting back to the blue fire. It wouldn't take too long. Or I can just backtrack and get the blue fire I need elsewhere. Unfortunately, that means I still have to do the sliding block puzzle one more time, because I need to put it back into position so we can jump up there. All in all, though, I think this is still slightly less irritating. Yeah. See? See? Even a small dungeon like this sometimes is confusing when you don't have a map. That's why the map was probably kept here. Again, there's also the fact that there's a lot of evidence to support that this was originally going to be a dungeon. There we go. More blue fire. Unfortunately, it's not the last bit of blue fire we're going to need. Alright, and now we're back here again. So, pretty straightforward. Just push the ice block into position. And the same time I did last time. I'm going to try avoiding the keys this time as opposed to just killing them. I might have to if it gets really annoying, but I would like to get through this dungeon. Ah, there we go. Alright. Yeah, cramped corridors against an enemy that can freeze you with its breath is not a good idea for us. Very good idea for Nintendo, though, to make an enemy. Alright, there we go. Now we melt this last section of ice, and now we go through that door. And here we have the kind of boss for this dungeon. It's a white Wolfos, and it's not very difficult. It's basically just a slightly stronger version of the Wolfos we fought so far. And that's it. Like I said, it's not a proper boss, but it's the best we're getting here. And instead of a heart container, we get this chest, which is going to require a very important item we're going to need. We get the iron boots. So we can't run, so heavy we cannot float. Yeah, we're going to need to do some underwater exploration for the next temple, so the iron boots are necessary. We meet again, Sheik. Funny how we keep running into each other. Yeah, we did notice that they were kind of trapped under ice. With one exception, the Zors are now sealed under this thick ice sheet. Okay, Sheik managed to rescue Ruto from here. And she left to the water temple. Okay. So that's where we have to go next. The ice is created by an evil curse. The monster in the water temple is the source of that curse, yeah. Ganondorf likes doing that. Casting curses on various places and making one of his evil minions the source of that curse. Alright, Sheik is going to teach us the melody that's going to lead us towards the next temple. After, you know, Sheik decides to philosophize a little bit. The Serenade of Water. Probably one of my favorite songs, since it's quite soothing. You sound to it. It's also a much simpler song, as you can see. By the way, at this point, there are only 2 songs left for us to learn. The songs that will lead us to the remaining 2 temples. Of course, we still have to do the water temple first, so... And time for Sheik to pull yet another disappearing act. I do not understand why Sheik and Impa do that all the time. Alright. So we need to equip the iron boots. This is probably one of the reasons a lot of people don't like the water temple, because they have to constantly go into the equipments menu to put the boots on and take them off. But yeah, we can't breathe underwater, so we'll, just like how we would basically burn up in the Death Mountain's crater, for the moment we will still drown if we stay underwater too long. Alright, before we leave, I'm going to remember this time, we need 1 more bottle's worth of blue fire. Because now that we're going into a water temple, we're going underwater, we need a way of breathing underwater. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to need the blue fire for. Alright, so one last time. I probably could very easily just kill that thing with the sword. Alright, here we go. Now we have the last bit of blue fire we're going to need. Nope, that's wrong. Alright, And now, we can just go out the way we came. I wonder why these freezers don't respawn. All the others do. Yeah. Alright, we're done with the ice cave. Alright, so before we head back to Zora's Domain, I want to check the bottom of this, I guess, lake? That's what it is? Pond? I don't know. This body of water. Because we just got the iron boots, which makes me think that we have 1 minute and 10 seconds. That's plenty of time. Makes me think there's something important down here. Ah, there is. There's a heart piece. Pretty sure I missed this one in my other playthroughs. Then again, I did suspect there might be something down here, so maybe I did get it previously and I'm remembering it. Regardless, I did remember or realize it was here this time, or at least I guessed it was here. So now we can head back up. Yeah, the main difference between this and a lot of the other Zelda games with diving and underwater mechanics, there is no quick way to surface. So you have to be really careful. If you go down deep enough and you don't have a way of breathing underwater, you can drown. The good news is, we're only going to have to worry about this for this part. From now on, we're going to be able to breathe underwater. Because the last thing I want to get before we end the video is the Zora's Tunic. So in order to get the Zora's Tunic, we need to revive King Zora here. And that's why we need this last bit of blue fire. There we go. Alright. Now that he's no longer a popsicle, let's speak to him. He's come back to life, yeah. I guess that's what it'd be like for you. Yes, we did save you. Please you have a hard time breathing underwater. Yes, we need help with that. This tunic. With this, you won't choke underwater. Alright, and now we have the Zora's Tunic. It's a diving suit for adult size. Wear it and you won't drown underwater. And also, blue is very much my color. There we go. And with that, we're all prepared to take on the next dungeon. So, we're going to call it here for today. And next week, we are going to pick up it heading towards the Water Temple. So, thank you for watching, everyone. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And please join me here next time where we continue to see if we can beat Ocarina of Time before the remake releases, and we continue our adventures in Hyrule, heading towards the Water Temple, to the probably one of my favorite dungeons of all times, one of the dungeons everyone else hates, and is going to be, one way or another, is going to be a very interesting experience for us. Goodbye, everyone.